going in.
Wait, I lied. Oh shit. I posted it wrong.
What?
I gotta post it to the bad publicity one, and then I have to share it. I've been doing it from mine.
It doesn't matter now. We've already been live since you started cussing us though.
No.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
No.
Oh gosh.
No, I fucked it up.
Again.
All right.
We
Fixed.
this roller coaster went from family friendly to after dark right quick.
Oh damn.
Hollis, what's going on?
Hey man, what's going on, Jameson? How you been?
I'm doing well. Alec, you good?
Hey, I'm groovy, man. Let's talk some talk.
Mikael Boogs.
Hello.
Bonjour. Who's
No.
this stranger?
Doing great. I'm David Weeks, been a friend of the show, loyal supporter. I watch the next day, all the time. You guys,
Twice.
good friends. Play a lot in the Atlanta meta. Play a lot of board games, a lot of card games. Really excited about Netrunner. It's my favorite game. Really excited to talk to everybody. I'm gonna take this hat off now.
It says a lot because it does look like you have a wide variety of games
Yeah.
to choose
yeah.
from, and we
Yeah.
appreciate that you're choosing this one.
Yeah. So I got
All right.
here that are pretty fun. Enjoy busting them out every once in a while.
All right, well, thanks everybody for tuning in. We're seeing people starting to roll in casually. Come in, get a seat up front, and enjoy as we talk about the three-headed dragon, which is coincidentally the last 3 IDs that we skipped in our previous episodes, making this the trifecta of we ID episodes. Checking IDs at the door, we call this.
There you go. Sweet.
And you'll find out if we let these people into the club or if they're not welcome.
I don't know.
I want to also make it very clear, we would not block anyone from entering the club for based on how they dress or look. It's based solely on the content of their character and deck design. So to make sure I put that out as so make sure we're clear on that one. Okay. All right.
So you're saying all IDs are good IDs?
Listen, I'm saying all IDs do matter. Okay, how about that?
Okay. All right. You said it. That's
how about
fine.
it? I just want to make sure we're clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's totally fine if you say it.
Yeah.
Dave, so why don't you tell us a little bit about your play style so people can just get familiar with that kind of stuff so they know what angle you're coming from. Maybe talk about your play style, your favorite card, and your favorite ID.
Okay. I play generally Anarchs. I like being aggressive. I like having being able to gain an effect, even though it seems like it damages me, but really it's going to help me long term. So I really enjoyed that faction. I remember the first time I played this game, I was playing just the core set, and I remember thinking like, okay, I can put this agenda in, and I'm going to score it next turn. And 3 times in a row, my friend who was playing against me was just like, stem hack, I have enough money, I got in. Stem hack, I got enough money, I got in. And ever since that playing of the stem hack, I'm like, that's the faction for me. I'm in all the way. Just brain damage, who cares? I'm not going to die, whatever. And get money to do the stuff you want to do. So that's always been my favorite play style. For a corp, I generally prefer a deck that can go either way. I like decks that go fast and play ice.
That's the
Sounds pretty classic.
Yeah. So I want ice and agendas and money, and I want to go as fast as humanly possible. Because usually late games, runners always have an advantage.
Is there
So
such thing as a Ricky Bobby deck?
Yeah, exactly. If you're not first, you're last. No, I don't like the full pedal to the metal. Like if I don't win by turn 8, I lose. But I do like you're looking to win from turn 8 to 15, and that's really your window to win.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of my favorite style to play, because especially at tournaments, I'm usually done early, and I can just get up, walk around, get something to drink, go to the bathroom, make a call, do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really nice during tournaments to play something fast, because then also if you got to think about a move for a while, that even if you go slow on your turn, you're still going to end with plenty of time.
So that's the strategy all along. Jeez.
Yeah.
Why are we all doing that?
Yeah.
So I've been playing with David for a long time. We've been doing Netrunner together, and one thing about David that I really appreciate is that he likes to play in the driver's seat. Whatever deck it is, he's at his happiest when he, as some people call it, is the beatdown. He's the one who's driving the course of the game, and he's heading towards his win condition, and he's going to get there, and you better catch up or fall behind. And I think that's a cool play style.
Well,
yeah, so if you're listening to deck advice from me, I am not going to tell you let's just wait and react and see what happens. No, I'm going to tell you I dictate how the game goes. You're going to react to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that'll usually be the direction I go. So my favorite card actually is retired now, which made me super sad, because my favorite card is Knight.
Yeah.
Knight gets into my go fast strategy usually, of put it on the board, put on ice, screw that ice the rest of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind paying money to break subs. That's fine. I'm going to guarantee that I can get in because I have money and a Knight on that piece of ice.
Yeah.
Made me super bummed when it got retired.
It was too good.
Maybe there's hope.
Had to ban it.
Maybe there's hope. Rain is still around.
Oh, there you go. Chess 2.0.
Yeah. Knight retiring was a direct shot at me, and I'm hurt by it. So.
Well, welcome, Dave. I'll say that what the fans can expect from you is the truth and nothing but the truth. But what I respect about your playstyle and what's fun is that I find that you're the kind of guy that plays what you want to play, and it's all about the facts. There's a reason that you're doing it. You've tested it out. It works with you, and usually how you have a really complex style of deck building that I find that if you've shared me a deck, I usually have to play that deck at least 20 times before I'm like, oh, I see what he's doing. Okay.
He's doing it the dumb way.
Yeah. So you are you are an unsung hero in the deck building. You've championed a couple lesser known IDs in their time. Everybody else, let's get into this. We're gonna talk the IDs. We have a bunch of lists that have been almost used the bad word there, that have been pulled and posted from Netrunner DB down below, so you guys can follow along, click those links for the examples that we're going through. But let's get some impressions of the ID first. What's up first here? This new MBN jazz?
Yeah, let's talk about Azmari EdTech. So this is the new NBN 40 card 15 influence ID. It's just chilling there. And it's got a pretty sweet ability. It says when your turn ends, you may name a card type. So that's hardware resource event program. Gain 2 credits the first time each turn the runner plays or installs a card that has the type you last named this way.
This seems pretty complex for a new player to pick up, but break this down for me. How do you feel about this style? This really seems to me being something that MBN is kind of going towards, is naming card types and this whole it's I think it's the whole, for me, play on thematic theme that they're the media. They have to know everything, that we're spying on everything, so they should know kind of what you're holding, and they can make those educated guesses a little easier. They are
See what you did there.
They are the Google of the
Educated.
See, what I really appreciate about this is this in some ways feels like it's a throwback to a card that I really enjoy, which is targeted marketing. That card always felt like a really cool skill play where you play targeted marketing, you name a card. If the runner plays that card, you gain 10 credits. It's soft denial, and it's also this very skillful kind of, okay, what's this runner's game plan? And particularly from turn one, just looking across the board at that ID, knowing the popular decks, knowing the meta, and being like, all right, is it event? Is it resource? You're probably not going to say hardware, but you maybe say hardware. And there's other effects on top of that that are already in the game and are being released this cycle that synergize with this ID pretty well. So I think it can definitely be much more consistent than just a simple randomly say a type kind of thing.
Agreed. Yeah. So
I also feel.
Oh, sorry.
No, please, you're the guest. Continue.
So what this looks like to me is obviously this is Indian's money ID. There, in the original core set, there was an ID called Engineering the Future out of Hasbiroid, and it gave you a credit every time you installed a card every turn. Mm-hmm. So you knew going in that you're like, okay, well, I can conceivably play less money in my deck, and my ID is just going to power my economy through the game. There's also Wayland's version, which is what's it called? Building a Better World, which gives you credit every time you play an operation. And Genteki's version is Palana. Is it Palana or Palana? I don't know what it is.
Palana.
Palana? Whatever.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah.
I heard all the A's were silent.
Dude. Bland. So it gives you a credit every time the runner draws. So there's a whole bunch of ways to get money from just interacting with the game. So this is just Indian's version of it, which is interact with the game and get 2. I think the reason it's 2 is because all the other effects are something that you can control. So you can control kind of when the runner's going to draw cards because of different assets that they have. Wayland, you can obviously control when you're going to play an operation, and Engineering the Future, you can control when you're going to install a card to get a credit. It's a lot harder to control what the runner's going to do with their board state, not just doing a generic action like drawing a card. So I think it's really good. You can conceivably hit this half of the turns and still be pretty much comparable to all the other IDs. So I think it's really good. And on top of that, it's 40 cards. You can do all kinds of crazy shenanigans just because it's 40 cards too. So
why I think it's 40 cards is because if you think about the normal course of a game, runner's going to be installing or playing stuff through the early game, of course, because they're getting set up their rig, the mid game to attack your servers. But with certain runner decks, they're not really installing or playing much by the end of the game. So this ID will eventually not be gaining you money anymore because you'll just run out of stuff that triggers the ability. So that 40 cards says, all right, the game's going to go a little bit faster. You're going to get your stuff a little bit quicker, and we're going to get to that end game sooner so the ability remains relevant. And I think that's a really cool, subtle balancing detail.
I would also like to add that, on top of what David said about interacting with the game in the way that, and I guess this also ties into what Alec is saying about how this effect kind of loses its power as the longer the game goes on, hence the reason that it's made to be a shorter deck that's meant to go fast, I think. We have seen decks evolve and take shape that are things like the Haley deck that, not Haley, excuse me. Well, Haley's one example, but the, oh gosh. What is the criminal that trashes all the time? Come on, I can't be that crazy.
Mac?
No, the criminal that wants you to trash all the time.
Oh, guys, I'm sorry.
Guys,
yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. Like we see those like themed decks, like where, for example, like the Haley deck was, you're going to have a ton of resources and a ton of hardware. They just keep churning out to do these things. In the case of Geist, similar, right? A lot of resources, a lot of hardware that basically you want to keep installing and keep giving you these trash effects. And I feel like with Amari EdTech being in the game, it also adds an additional challenge for people that are going to like basically decide to play decks like that are going to be very, very specifically like farming these hefty amount of resources, hefty amount of hardware, because that's their almost complete strategy, right? This is basically all that those decks do play. So this kind of ID makes sure that you're getting that money through the entire game. You shut their plan down if they decide, okay, I'm not going to take actions to prevent you from getting these credits. At some point, they have to proceed with making their board. They can't just stop building their board state. So I think it's really cool, and I agree. I think at the worst case scenario, when you get to the end game, you probably just start naming out things you maybe expect. Like maybe you expect now deep data mining, so you're just going to keep naming events or stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah, but I think the progression of what you name is really interesting over the course of the game. Like you're suggesting up front, you might tend towards resources or programs or hardware, and then you move into events, or you do the pro move of turn one scarcity and then name event and be like, you want to play current?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's a baller move.
I like it.
I think that this is an interesting step for Jinteki into the shift. The shift in times as we move to their new mechanic about putting everything back on top of the runner stack and then knowing what's going to be played. What trips me up though is the hunt for that win condition. I usually favor IDs that play more into boosting the style of deck that I'm playing. Whether it be a kill deck, it's got like a kill mechanic built into it, like with Jinteki, or if it is something like this, it's going to be like back in the day when it was HB getting the money, or the Polana, you're playing that Glacier style, so you have the money for the ice. But this one here, it's weird because it's like you're really playing with, you're putting those cards in that are creating a tempo hit for the runner and then hoping to open up windows, I think. But I'm just not seeing all the pieces come together so much at this point. I think that there's still a lot to flush out. And the other side that makes me skeptical is that I feel like every once in a while, you see a good list and a good build, which goes against this, but I'm not really sold on 40 card corporations. I don't think we've ever really seen a dominant 40 card corporation build. We've seen corporations that are fun to play, and they fill niche, but as part from something that's that swings everybody that way. And all of a sudden, everybody's playing that one awesome ID. It's very rarely a 40 card.
Well, I don't think there's a lot of them in the game, but occasionally that 40 cards I think can really matter, particularly if you're in an ID like this where you've got very particular cards that you might be searching for, and smaller deck size, you're more likely to draw your hard-hitting news or Boom or Ash or whatever, whatever your sweet power cards are. So here I think that is relevant.
I'm willing to be proven wrong, but I've never I've experimented with 40 cards in the past, and I've even thought that I was heavy on 40 card runners when they came out. Played a lot of Chaos Theory. But it's still like that mentality just didn't cut it.
Yeah, 40 card corporation is a lot different than 40 card runner. Runner, you pretty much, your game plan is almost going to go the same every single game. But with corp, you gotta kind of deal with whatever you draw. So I'm not a math guy, but you do run into situations where with a 40 card deck where you have all your pieces in there and you have like 3 of everything, and you are pretty much going to get what you want, but you do have situations where you'll get blooded.
Yep.
There's nothing to do about it. Or you can get that with 45 card corporation decks too. It feels a little more punishing with a 40 card deck.
My favorite 40 card corporation was Cybernetics Division, but I feel it kind of played into that 40 card style by reducing the hand size. So I was not aggressively drawing or getting or keeping large amounts of cards, so I was able to maintain that pace. But in the end, I haven't really been drawn to a 40 card corporation. So I'm not saying that this one is going to be the same way. I've definitely experimented and played around with it. I don't know if it's going to have stickiness for me, because I'm still at the point too where I'm like, even building a 45, like I really try and keep to the boundaries. I'm not the kind of guy that sneaks in 46 or that 47th card. But man, there's so many good cards out there that you really want to keep in your deck, and it's so hard to cut to 45. And when you start looking at moving towards 40, that's really tricky.
Yeah. So a good thing about this deck, and what I find super interesting about it, is this deck really, 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 at least in the ones that I've seen, wants to play 6 agendas. And it has a couple different alternatives with that 6 agendas. I think we posted in the link below where the like button is. All the different,
he's already got it.
All the different lists. So a good strategy with this, because you are going to make a whole lot of money, is play 3 pointers, make a whole bunch of money. When the runner steals one, play a punitive counter-strike. That's a good. If that's your whole strategy, that's a decent strategy. Yeah. Runner's gonna have, because you got 2 shots at doing it, or you either lose the game, and MDN has a way to score without an agenda.
Yeah. And just to clarify on a point too, when I say keeping it to the deck minimum, I do mean the where you can play the extra cards to kind of be just under the next threshold. So I know I saw that kind of pop in chat, the 40/44.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, David, and it's interesting you can go that direction with this. I was gonna actually mention a little earlier when Jameson, you were talking about not quite knowing where this ID goes. I actually think that's one of the strengths of the ID, is that you can sit across from it and not be really sure what kind of deck it is. And as such, you don't know whether to just start playing the cards even though it's going to make the ID money, or if you hold back and you're like, well, I can't give them money, I have to, prepare a little more. And depending on the deck that you're running out of Azmari, either one of those situations can be beneficial. If they play into you or if they hold back, either way, you're generating this this advantage in tempo and in time and in economy that I think you can leverage pretty well, and either in a Glacier or in a Rush fashion. And that's what I think is really cool, is that I think this supports both.
Anybody else have anything to say, or do you want to talk about some of the styles and builds that we're seeing?
Let's go into builds, man.
Yeah,
let's take a look at what the people are doing.
Let's take a look at the various flavors of Azmari.
I love some flavors, man.
All right. So we're gonna get those deck lists up there. I'm gonna start.
This is where we need like a side wipe to like go and list the deck list.
Star wipe everything.
Cool.
Call up Ben in P-Chat. See if he can.
Yeah.
There you go.
Just
Ben.
design something.
Give me a transition, yo.
Make it happen. So as far as deck list goes for Azmari, I think, as I alluded to, there's really 2 different flavors, the Rushing and the Glacier. As far as Rush goes, I recommend taking a look at it's the Big Boys Azmari Rush deck on Netrunner DB. This one really stands out to me because it's got a lot of cards that are just like, they're just classic Rush material. It's your Biotic Labors, your Ice that's pretty cheap and you just slam behind and keep rolling. And now this new Rashida Jaheim, I mean, I think that speeds this thing up immensely.
I think
Jeeves. Sorry?
I think you mean Bay.
Oh, Bay. Excuse me. Yeah. Bay. Yeah. Real good. Yeah, I think this deck just, it gets up and goes real fast. And yeah, man, that Biotic plus Jeeves, I think, is a real killer. Plus Maryland. To keep things cycling. So yeah, definitely check out this deck because I think this is doing things out of Azmari that's pretty different to the majority of decks that people are putting together.
Yeah, I mean, it rushes, and because you know you're gonna maybe install Ice, install Beal, maybe play an agenda early on, into your turn. And, you know, if they come get it, I'll just go ahead and name program. If they come get it, I'll make some money, and I'll get a server established, and I crippled their economy by making them play that program down. So that seems like the big play of this deck, because if I remember correctly, I'm not looking at it right now, but if I remember correctly, all the Ice is pretty cheap too.
It is, although it is running the Endless EULA, which is that 6 credit bad boy barrier,
and the old school toll booth trick,
and two toll booth architect Archangel. Yeah, so the Ice is not nothing, but it is pretty impactful.
Yeah, it's got some News Hound in there too, right? It's got the Jolteons in there.
I don't think this list has a News Hound. That might have been any other list because it's not running any currents.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. It's going too fast for currents. It's yeah. Go ahead.
I think this is a good example of just what you can do when playing to the speed boost that still is NBN with their suite. You can see that most of the stuff that is added are it almost seems like NBN still wants to fast advance, but all the fast advance is going to HB. So instead, while we took out all the fast advance tricks from NBN, now we're just using all of our influence to import everything that HB has. So it's interesting to see that piece.
But they've got good cards otherwise, like NBN cards. All these cards are generally quite good. So
I'm not saying that it's not. I'm just saying that's what, like, you can streamline now. Like before, you were picking and choosing, getting pieces of Ice, pulling the strengths from different factions. But now, as factions more stand on their own, you can just see that this deck is just pulling a pure fast advance compilation from HB.
Yeah.
Yep.
I really like just throwing it out there. We talked about this card in a previous episode, or did we? Hold on, let me check myself. I thought we did. Yeah, we did. But I really dig this Amani Sinai.
Oh yeah,
card.
2 of.
Yeah, like I really like this because it's doing something very unique here. It's basically, I mean, you effectively, the end result here is that you set the runner back credits, and in a unique way for your opponent being very aggressive and scoring against you. This card allows you to say, no, you're still going to get taxed as if you're breaking additional Ice. So like it extends out the amount of time you have to get that remote set up and start jamming stuff in there. Because if they lose, if they start scoring aggressively, and this card's in play, and I mean, it's reasonable at 4 trash cost. If this card's in play, it just sets them back further and further as they try to get this huge advantage over you. So it just rebalances at scale. You scored. That's great. Well, take that back to your hand. You have to pay for that. I'm going to install Advanced Agenda. Can you install this card from your hand, plus gain credits and make the run and get in?
Mm-hmm.
So I really like that as an addition in this deck, and I really feel like honestly this, like you guys have said, the speed of this ID and how this is trying to combo with cards that generate this economy in between turns is just, I mean, it feels like Abram, because that's the big boy. It feels like Abram generates a ton of economy very passively, which is awesome, right? We love that in this game. And he just focuses so, just really, really careful, and like he says in his description, slam it and jam it. He doesn't say that, but that's basically the premise here. Like, score immediately.
And this gets to one of our points when we were talking about Amani on the last episode, was this concern of like, where does this card go? If it's just sitting out in a remote, not protected, what is that going to do? But you look at these assets here, and I think they're the kind of assets that you just jam out unprotected and be like, cool, check it. And they, after checking 2 or 3 Maryland campaigns and a Jeeves, I think most runners are going to be like, I'm not checking your unresed assets anymore because I'm not trashing any of this stuff. Come on. Right. And then you just got an Amani that's chilling there, or a Rashida Bay Jaheim that they don't check. And you're like, cool, go off.
And if we look back years ago, or not even years ago, like a year ago, this is exactly what we talked about. Like the face of assets should work, right? There should be some assets that have an amazing res to trash ratio, right? But I felt like the majority of assets should be kind of specific to something, and as a trade-off to their ability not being ridiculously powerful, the trash cost needs to be appropriate so that you, as the runner, you'll go, maybe it's fine, let them have this. Like in the long term, it's not, but maybe I don't want to spend the 4 credits here to get rid of this. And I feel like that's an example of a card that is that.
Yeah.
I feel like it sucks just enough that you're like, maybe I can hold, maybe I can deal with this.
Right.
Yeah. Just looking at this card, I'm not paying for it to trash this garbage. No.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No. Yeah.
But then it's gonna bounce your paperclip, and you're like, damn it.
Yeah. You're like, at that point, it's like, okay, well now I've lost the click and the 4. Isn't it interesting? Like, it's just.
Yeah. It's really neat. I think it's a cool style. It's pretty unique.
But man, this is fast, guys. This looks stupid fast.
Yep. That Rashida.
It's taking me back, man.
It's gonna keep showing up.
I'm having bad "The World Is Yours" flashbacks. Like terrifying flashbacks.
So yeah, so that's our example of the Rush. I think we'll find that a lot of the other lists that we look at have a very different strategy. And again, I think this gets to my earlier point about the ID really being able to go either ways, which is cool.
Do you feel like so yes, there, if you look through the other links that we've put down below, there are the Glacier builds, and the Glacier builds are still doing rather well. You can see the one Glacier+Kill. So that has the kill attack in there with the a Glacier build, a 6 agenda suite. Do you feel though that this, let's just devil's advocate this. Do you feel that this is one of those cases where this is the new hotness, and maybe it could go either way, but that's because it hasn't settled on something yet? Like, do you see this? Do you see this still? A cycle from now, people are saying like, "Oh yeah, you can play this any way you want," or do you think that no, the cream is going to rise to the top, and there's going to be one definite way that is going to be better than the other, and at that point, everyone's like, "EdTech, we know what you got." And because right now it's new, it's in that flux of people trying it.
No, I don't think so. I think the biggest thing about this is you look at or just think about the recurring credit. What's it called? That part of the game. It's like, okay, you're going to get this amount of credits to do this one specific thing. But EdTech just gives you regular credits that you can spend to do whatever you want. The fact that it doesn't like head you in one direction from the start, and it's just like, nah, you know what? Just if you can name it correctly, here's some money. The fact that you just get normal dollars to do whatever you want to with is gonna make it be able to do anything. I do think it will be a strong like single trace. Like if you want to do one big trace a game, like maybe you want to hit with a sea source and do some shenanigans, or you want to hit with the big hard hitting news and always hit it. It's going to be a great ID for that. Or like the punitive example. You know, you just need big burst money to do one big thing one time. It's going to be great for that. But otherwise, I mean, like we see, there's two very different strategies that aren't even really exploring everything that the new NBN what they can do with tags can really do to the runner.
Yeah, I agree. I really think it can go out of the way, and that money is the real deal. And like we've been talking about all this cycle, I think anything that sets up that credit difference between the runner and the corp can be huge if you exploit it. And as long as cards like Hard Hitting News and Ash are still in the game, I think this ID stays relevant, and it can really go either way, basically as the meta dictates. Like, as the runners either speed up or slow down, this ID matches pace with what cards you put in there. So I think it's pretty flexible.
In the realm of competitive play, though, are you taking this over the other choices in yellow?
There aren't that many other choices at the moment, I feel like. I don't know. What is?
There's probably two other choices. There's the Making News door-to-door deck, which is just has literally one game plan, and that's it.
Right.
And the CTM plan, which is just make a bunch of assets, make a bunch of money, and, you know, kind of do a control style. I think this will be like, if you want to play yellow and you want to do ice, and you want to maybe mess around with the ice some more, this will be the deck that Soul was last year. Soul was the Glacier ID. This will be the ID that will let the players play a little more fast and loose with ice. Maybe play Gen City Grid, do something crazy with that. And,
Whoa.
Yeah. If you want to finish your games in 60 minutes, you choose this over CTM, and you have a good time.
Cool.
Yeah, I think it's up there. Sweet.
Hollis, is this your pick? Worlds next year?
I'm gonna say yes.
Whoa! What?
Oh, we got a winner.
And I think I'm gonna say yes because of the game.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? Like, the history of Netrunner has sort of taught us. Isn't it funny? Like, NBN has like it doesn't win, but it's always like super dominant at the biggest event in Netrunner. I feel like, I mean, I don't want to say this will be the same, but I don't know. Fast events tends to be pretty darn good, right? It's either fast events or like solid Glacier.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't see anything dethroning controlling the message as the king in yellow.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably.
But for some of us who don't particularly care for NBN, the fact that, like, I look at this ID and I think it's actually kind of cool and interesting, I think says something. For a type of player who isn't all that into the CTM kind of vibe, this offers a fresh alternative that I think is going to stand the test of time.
I think it's interesting, and I hope to see some other different choices that break away from this style of NBN. This one is just not from my personal play style. I'm not drawn to this whole mechanic and this new NBN. It's not for me. Back in my day, NBN used to. Yeah. All right. Let's
get off my servers.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. So there's the NBN predictions.
Sweet.
let's kick on.
So, one last thing I'd like to say about this. I'd love to see someone make up a cool token that has all the 4 different types of cards that the runner could play, and at the end of their turn, they just turn that token so that their pick was up. That would be super cool. And it would also, if someone makes that, will make me play this ID way more, because I will absolutely forget what I name. Literally all the time.
Yeah. Nailed it.
All right, which
Sweet.
one do you want to hit to next? You want to stick on Corp?
Let's just go in order.
Okay.
Let's switch on over to the runner side for our brand new criminal here. Let's talk about some 419, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
There he is. He's a criminal, and he's a natural 1 link 4515. And he says the first time the corp installs a card each turn, you may expose that card unless the corp pays 1 credit. Holy cow. And just to clarify this, from the Michael Boggs post here, the runner chooses to use their ability on a card that was just installed, and then afterwards, the corp chooses whether or not to pay the 1 credit. It's not the other way around. But yeah, it's pretty cool, pretty unique.
I think it's pretty all right, you know. It's pretty all right. It's pretty all right.
Some say that information is power.
Yeah, I mean, it could be good.
Yeah,
Knowledge is power.
Well, information is better power.
Well, what's money in that equation? You know what? We're
so
lost.
Good.
Money, knowledge.
No.
So yeah, I think this looks pretty sweet. It's got, the 1 link is nice. The ability to occasionally expose something. I don't know if there were cards that benefited from exposing things. That might be good too. And maybe the corp's gonna spend some credits. Oh God, it's arrived. Yeah.
What just happened?
Yeah, man. Honestly, I think the existence of Amakua and the fact that it's already a really sweet and widely played card, and that this ID slots right into that strategy, and if you have the turtle on the table, and the corp looks across and they're like, oh God, do I pay a credit, or do I give him a turtle counter? That's good. That's pretty good.
Give him a turtle buck.
Old turtle buck.
I was looking through criminal IDs, and I discovered something that I'd not actually thought about. 419 is only the 3rd criminal. Sorry, 4th one, because Andromeda is retired. It's only the 3rd active criminal that his ability does not directly, or is not directly affected by running.
Running HQ.
Either running HQ or just running in period. Running anywhere.
Interesting.
So I think the direct comparison for 419 is always going to be Rihanna. Because they both do the same thing, but Rihanna does it when she runs.
Rihanna. Sorry.
Right. It's harder to activate that ability.
Right. So 419 is not, in my mind, going to be the aggressive run guy. I think he's going to be more of a control person like Leela, who also wants to kind of sit back and pick their moments and then do his thing. Because 419 probably going to know what all the ice is, probably needs to know what he needs a special order and go get. He's also a control runner with a link, meaning that he's automatically better than Ian.
Oh, poor Ian.
Really any other runner in the game.
Oh, you tried, Ian.
I think that when you evaluate 419, you're going to be looking more towards the style of Leela, which is a counterattack type style. Through the game, if the corp really doesn't have the money to pay the toll, pay the troll toll for 419 or 419, as I also heard him call it. You're going to know what all the ice is. So there's a great strategy of, okay, well, they're going to go for this plan in the remote. I know that what's on R&D is a barrier. So I'm just going to special order for my barrier breaker, play it, and I'm going to make her die. And I'm going to do that, get them to spend money over here, and then I'll have a click left. Maybe I'll go try to run the remote, get them to spend some more money. Mm-hmm. So he's a great counterattack person because he knows everything on the board. He's also going to be really good if the corp is really, really wanting to pay the credit every single time to like deny him all the information. If any other card gets printed that says, I don't know, the corp loses 5 credits, just throw this out there. Mm-hmm. If any card like that gets printed, he's gonna absolutely fire his ability every single turn.
Yeah,
the corp installs something, and that kind of goal is just bananas good. I think he's going to be the best criminal until they print another criminal that has just a good of an ability, because his ability is bananas.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And there's already econ denial that they printed this cycle in the form of corporate grant, which came out in Council of the Crest and has been seeing play. And so he just, starts paying down your economy there too. And all of a sudden you're down to 4, 5, 6 credits, and you go, I can't pay a credit every time I want to install something. Come on.
Look how bad that is. He just lost a credit.
Oh, my money. Yeah. I think the pieces are there. I think the synergies are there. I think he got set up with his console at the beginning of the cycle, and he's just continuing to get good stuff all through this cycle. So really, like, this is the idea that I think is going to get me excited about playing Criminal again, which is a big deal.
I would say that I'm in the same boat as some of those comments right there. I think that fresh out the gate, you're looking at a criminal runner that has, very little drawbacks here. He's already has a link attached to him. You're playing a semi-denial against the corp, where you're forcing them to make choices. I would think most of the time they're going to be paying, and then only as the game goes on, that's where you're going to see turns where there won't be so much happening, but you've already created that tempo hit. But the other thing too is that even as the game goes on, the corporation still has to install those agendas. If that is so their play style, or they still have to do something with those agendas and put them somewhere that you'll be able to force this ability to trigger. Definitely the best criminal probably out right now to play. This is where you're going to see most of the cards coming out are going to synergize with this style. We're seeing Exposed take more of an effect in the game. We're seeing more cards that are worth exposing, which I think is a big thing to consider when you're bringing Exposed back. Like, you can't just bring Exposed back on one side and not have a reason to expose, or a reason to not want that card to be exposed. So we're in a good state of the scales right now for the Expose effect. I don't have anything else really to go in and say. I think if you're playing blue, this is the guy that you're going to play, and I think that he's the reason why a lot of people, heavy criminal players that have gone off criminal because of lack of good choices, should swing back. That being said, I think it still depends on more support that we're going to need to see for this ID. I wouldn't say that right away criminal is restored, back to wearing the crown as the king of runners, but this is definitely a step in the right direction that this faction has needed. And it's a great play style to actually get behind and to want people to play.
Mm-hmm. Well said.
Yeah, very well said. I don't want to just reiterate everyone else's opinions because I very much share them, but allow me to give a concern.
Oh,
I do think.
Sure.
I do. If you recall, right up until I would say, well, right up until the middle end of getting to like the rotation, there was definitely a lot of whining. I was one of them. But I was a complainer about the issue involving cards like Account Siphon, where we had seen the credit denial aspect of the game be really, really put the game in a very weird spot. Like, basically, heavy credit denial decks didn't even care about tags because they had available mitigation. They also prevented the corp from doing anything as far as like developing their actual board state. So it was a very, quote, feels bad man, end quote, like play style that they were encouraging. This is sort of like non-interactive, damned if you do, damned if you don't, like I guess game state. And people in general, I felt like really didn't like that. If you were a brand new player joining the game and this happened to you, you would look at it and go, oh, well, this, I can see why this also isn't fun. But obviously seasoned players will know there were cards that you could place in your deck to mitigate that or minimize the likelihood of you being affected by that. I worry as a result of that time, in Netrunner history, a true concern I have is as we get to more and more IDs and cards that will continue that credit denial concept. My worry is that eventually it gets to the point where it's, it gets back into that, where a combination of 419, corporate grant, and other cards that may drain credits, whatever the futures of possible account siphons could ever be, that we get to the point where you're draining or taxing a hefty amount of credits to the point where it's very, very difficult for the corp just to play as intended. And I have or how they would like corps to play. And I have no doubt FFG, this having already been a problem in the game before, FFG is taking a look at this, and the cards being designed now are going to do everything they can to prevent that from occurring. But it is a concern that I have because it has been a problem in the game before. Yeah. So giving an ID that directly... Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, I think to counterpoint some of that, that's all the stuff that went through my head, 100% true, about how they keep this card in balance. But I think the card that I can compare it to the most and why I have faith in this style is that if you look at what Reyna could have done, with her costing the corp more to res, I think it's almost relatively the same balance and check, right? Like Reyna didn't really get too out of control, and I think this card can be even controlled a little better because it's giving the runner an actual choice, right? Like if you can play around his style as the corporation and be ready and work for those scoring windows and bumps a little better, you might be able to just install and then, oh, you want to expose? Okay, well, yeah, here it is, right? And it even has a built-in almost like FU to the corp if you're playing Wayland, right? Like Wayland's going to score, like if I'm playing a public agenda, I'm installing it face up anyway. So if that's if the first time I install a card, if it's my face up agenda, well, there you go. You don't get you don't get nothing.
Yeah, and to your point, Hollis, about concern about credit denial, I agree that there is a critical mass of those effects that is concerning. However, we're talking about a cycle where two of the best neutral economic assets, zero cost economic assets, have just been printed. So I think the recovery mechanisms for the corp are in place, such that if there's that economic battle going on, the corp has options to get back into it. So I definitely think there's a give and take there with the card pool and the metagame. But yeah, there's room for both sides to play around with this effect being in the game. And yeah, I think it's interesting.
Yeah. Also, I mean, if you don't want to play the denial game with 419, I mean, you can just not pay the credit. Just like, yeah, I'm gonna install this ice. It's a vanilla. I'm gonna install this. Now I'm gonna install a second piece of ice that you won't know what it is. So there are ways to play around it as the core. I am also concerned as one of those players that would just spam account siphon a million times. I'm also concerned about that, but I'm a little less concerned about it with these because it's a drip. The problem before was that it was 1, 2, 3 and you're out. This is more of a it's more of a jab rather than a hook. So it's still connecting and doing some damage, but you're not going to knock somebody out with a jab.
True.
And like with Azmari, as we were talking about earlier, this gets less and less things get installed by the end game, right? The Corp has sort of deployed all their ice, and you're really just in the end game there. And so again, this ability, it's really critical in the early game, and then slowly decreases in value, which I think is cool.
I think the interaction with Amakua is something that people should be more worried about than the whole spamming the whole super credit denial kind of situation.
That is strong.
I really think that is going to be more powerful than probably it appears.
Slot your reverse infections, everybody. The virus apocalypse is nearly upon us, and reverse infection takes care of the turtle pretty well as well.
You're good.
So.
Honestly, you're really gonna have to when you're thinking about the number of virus stuff that is being built into Anarch, and now this combination with 419 or as we up here in the north like to turn that 9 into a 6, with a 416. I think that that viruses are now going to be more prevalent than ever, and you're going to have something to deal with it, because this runner with his AI breaker is going to be in frigging sane.
Hell yeah.
Last, just really quick thought. It probably just common sense, but just in case, I want to make it super clear. We mentioned in the last episode how amazing it is when we looked at NBN's ice that ice is getting better, and by that I mean face down ice is scarier now because more ice has when encountered abilities, not subroutines that never fire. So 419, the 419 existing now, like if we even go back in time, the combination of Akuma and that type of ice that has more when encountered abilities makes 419 a much better ID than it was a year ago. Like just much better.
Yeah.
Because now that knowledge is way more important.
Yeah. It's the it all just
I'll
gets.
do one more point. For my favorite interaction with him is actually a Jinteki interaction with, what is it called? Psychic Field.
Why do you have so many cards available?
Because I planned things, Hollis.
The man's prepared.
So with Psychic Field, this is just a fun. You mess around with. You install Psychic Field face down, and you can convince 419 to expose it. You get to do the side game to make him just instantly lose all of his cards.
So sick.
So it's also one influence. So if you want to be a troll on your friends and annoy them when they're trying to 419 builds, a lot of Psychic Field.
Yeah.
A counter exists.
I dig.
Jinteki is where it's at right now.
Yeah, I knew you'd like that, Jameson.
All right, I got nothing else to say for him. You want to go over the builds quickly? And I don't think these are too, we're not seeing anything too ridiculous, right? But
really what I just thought was important to emphasize here with these deck lists is that, interestingly, I think 419 is actually a runner where your focal point is your console, because right now I think he's got two really super solid options for that console slot, and you then build your deck around those abilities. And I'm talking about Zamba, which was released earlier this cycle, that allows you to gain a credit whenever a corp card is exposed. Seems good.
Zumba.
or Security Nexus, which I've been playing for months out of various IDs, and I think here it works really nicely as well. He already comes with a one link built in, and the ability to just maintain this credit advantage on the corporation and do your Nexus thing all over the board is pretty gross. So they're definitely different speeds and definitely different styles of play. But they both have turtles, they both have good criminal cards, and they both do cool things with nice consoles. So that I think would be the place to look at first when you're looking at these decks.
Yeah, pretty basic. I think they kind of build themselves right now. Just because, like I said, I don't feel it's fully flushed. So until more options open, I think you're keeping the barriers tight.
I will say one point that I thought was really interesting about this deck that we're posting here, the Explodapalooza deck. They comment that one potentially strong avenue to think about with your tricks in 419 is including more D-Res tech. And I think this is a really fascinating notion from a deck design standpoint, because it allows your ID ability, particularly with the exposing of things, to remain relevant, to continue to expose things with your GPI net taps, right? You D-Res it down and then your net taps are back online. And so that kind of economic, and you're getting the economic advantage of the ice needing to be resed again. So looking at things like emergency shutdown are really interesting for this ID, because I think there are some more subtle synergies there as well.
I really like where it's going with the expose effect, and as we see different cards being exposed. But in closing, Dave talked about the silhouette. I really hope that we see cards that could pair better with some of the older IDs still in the game. I think if you're gonna if you're gonna hold these IDs around that are included in the big box, at least throw some support towards them. So maybe make the cards that were there for silhouette also usable to this day. Just weird.
There's a 2-0 feint in this Explodapalooza deck. There you go. That's a throwback.
That's the throwbacks. Nice. That's what we needed. I set it up. You knock it down. Last on the list.
Cool. All right, let's take it back home to my faction of choice, and that is, of course, Wayland. Wayland got a spicy new ID in the most recent pack, and that is SSO Industries, fueling innovation and nice mountains and forests. This is a 4515 classic Corp ID, and it says when your turn ends, you may choose a piece of ice with no advancement tokens on it. Okay. If you do, place one advancement token on that piece of ice for each agenda point on all face-up agendas. Whoa. Face-up agendas? Who does that? That's crazy talk.
Is it Wayland? I heard they do that.
Wayland.
Oh.
Correct.
Okay, cool.
10 points. 10 points.
NBN with casting call.
Or Wayland with casting call on a government takeover.
Okay, kill me. Okay, we're doing too much.
All Wayland. Government takeover with Transparency Initiative.
Whoa. Okay, I can't. I just
bad cards.
I'm going home.
Yeah. No, but for real.
Oh, did you cut?
No, Alec, your voice, we lost you.
Yeah, no, you're back. No.
Someone do his voice.
I can't be bothered.
I'll do it. If he moves his mouth, I'll provide his commentary.
All right, so I actually have a couple of things laid out for this idea because I'm also super excited about it. The obvious card for me, before we even talk about new cards, is a card that I've always liked Hollywood renovation. If you want counters on stuff, get your counters on stuff. You advance this, you get counters on stuff. Into your turn, you get counters on stuff. What are you going to use them for? I don't know. I just want counters. Give me more counters. So the really fun thing that I've always liked with this is a combo that you can put into Wayland. If you have this on the table and it's advanced, on your next turn, you could install an Atlas and then advance this twice and score this and the Atlas and get a 5-point swing, which is even better in SSO because you're going to have a whole bunch of really strong Wayland ice with a bunch of counters on it, which makes it good. Everybody remembers cards like Tyrant from a long time ago where you really wanted counters on stuff. If Tyrant still exists, it would be good in this deck. There's another card. The name escapes me. Hollis, you can help me out with this. It's a 3, and when you put counters on it, it becomes a code gate. What is the name of that card?
Stop. No, it's not a real card. It's not a real one.
It's Lycanthrope.
It's like it.
Like it.
Yeah.
It's a great card.
Uh-oh. Am I back? Can you
Yeah.
hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right.
He's on.
All right. David's been talking nonsense. That's all shenanigans. I actually think this idea is really powerful. Because I think Wayland actually has good ice now. No, we're not talking about these lichens and these whatevers.
Mute him again.
No, heresy. No, I really do think Wayland has great ice, and the ice gets even better with advancement tokens, and this idea is all about slapping those advancement tokens on ice that goes from good to great, especially at 3 tokens. You dump 3-point agendas in servers and start advancing ice, and I think it gets pretty legit.
But in all seriousness about this, there's Wayland finally got their 3-pointer that you really don't want to steal, and that's City Works Project.
Yeah.
So this bad boy right in a remote, like if you like early game, throw this down in the remote, you're gonna score it.
Mm-hmm.
Because no one wants to come in here, especially if you can get something like Dedication Ceremony on it, where you make it cost 5 meat damage to steal.
Yeah.
And I know you're playing punitive Counter-Strike. Like, nah, dog, go ahead. Go for it. You got it. So I think this card alone is probably going to fuel everything you need for the deck. And then there's this guy. Odadawa.
The dude. Yeah.
I don't even have like a nickname I can call this because I don't even know how to pronounce it. But this
the dude,
guy,
man. The dude.
The guy who does counters on counter stuff. I'm sorry with people. I'm very sorry for just crapping back. But it could get really. You could really get a little thing going where you're just steamrolling out of control. And with those counters, you can do cool stuff like play mass commercialization to get a whole bunch of money that you can use. You can play Trick of Lights, maybe play a couple of 3-pointers to get a whole bunch of counters everywhere, and then score Atlases with Trick of Lights. You can late game maybe score a 3-pointer out of hand with a Biotic Labor and a Red Planet Couriers. So I mean, it's all the pieces are there for people to really do some really cool stuff with this ID. It's not the deck for me, but there are Wayland players that I know that are just like straight salivating at this ID.
Do you think that it has deck building issues in the fact that, like, are you trying to play all public agendas now? And do you think that now you're trying to move to all advanceable ice so that you can always take advantage of this thing? Because like obviously it says that you may choose a piece of ice with no advancement tokens on it, right? So there could be a lot of times when you're not really getting value out of this because there's no ice that you can advance.
But here's the thing. There's no time because this is 100% a rush ID. This is you slam, jam, and you go to town.
That's what I'm talking about.
Slam a jam, right? So you're going to have it's the early game, right? Your ice is all in advance, so your install, dedicate, slam a Mausolus, 3 counters. Score the agenda. Next turn, install, advance, more counters. You got your wormholes, they're free. You got your colossi, they're huge. Like, you just don't have time for anything else. Like, this ID just goes fast.
See, I don't mulligan. I guess I don't mulligan as good as you, so I guess I shouldn't be playing this.
Well, well, with this ID, if you have fast, you want to play fast track for a 3-pointer, throw it down, and then put dedication ceremony on it. Like, right. That's your turn. Like, dude, come get this. Take a bunch of damage. I'm ready to either win the game or kill you. Come on.
Right.
Yeah, that's sort of the sickness. Is that, like, I think previously, if we look at, oh my God, is it because we built it? Is the old Wayland advancement ID? The inherent issue there was just, it was still too taxing to gain the benefit from that they were trying to give you from advancements. And this card directly says, okay, play to win the game, and it will, and just by doing that, you make the res cost lower, or the strength of ice higher, or the subroutines bigger on the ice that you install. And of course, Wayland has multiple suites that do all of those things I described, right? Either the ice becomes cheaper to res, the ice becomes stronger, and or gets beefier subs. So the playstyle is directly allows you to, I know you said go fast, but it's as simple, like the playstyle can be as simple as as simple as I install an ice this turn. All right, that's what I've done. This ice is on my remote face down, or 1 or 2 ice on this remote face down. Then next turn, it's amazing to me that you can go install advance events is 5/3 face up. This piece of ice that reduces res cost by 3 for every advancement or what have you gets 2 of these. So now this card that is like normally like a 7 or 9 res card is 3 for me, and it's beefy. So if it's early and you can't get past this, I just score an agenda. Which also means if you can't get past this, when I triple advance this card or double advance this card next turn, the other advanceable ice also gets super beefy. Like, it even allows you to play in a playstyle, like to sort of like craft a playstyle that's, you know what, maybe I don't score this agenda here. Maybe I install another piece of ice and slow advance this just for a second to give myself a bigger benefit. Because I ultimately am saving clicks instead of like advancing the ice individually. I love this. Like, this is cool. I dig it.
Let me break down the game plan for you. You score your first 3-pointer because you're rushing out and the runner can't deal with it, like you described. So you've got 3 points. You set up, you score out a hostile first, or you score out your other 3-pointer from hand because your ID sets up Red Planet Couriers and Biotic Labor. And so all you need, you only ever have the risk of an agenda being stolen on the board 1 turn, 1 time, and then everything else is coming out of hand, and this ID fuels it all. So I think that's a super cool Wayland playstyle. And the runner has to respect that because you're running 3-pointers, if they don't get set up properly, you might be running a kill package, and then they're just done. So that's the true Wayland threat right there. Is you got to respect it.
I think so. I think what this card did is basically take 2 features of Wayland and just kind of marry them together. 2 things that probably weren't seeing enough love with the publics, and everybody was always complaining about you had this advanceable ice, you couldn't do anything with it, yada yada yada. But I say from my playstyle is that this one here, it's I am excited to see the potentials that are going to come from it. I'm not drawn to this ID's ability because it's very I'm just going to play like some Wayland mechanics and do some Wayland stuff. I was really excited to see the way that the game was moving along when I saw even though it kind of fizzled, I thought Builder of Nations was really cool. And I hope now that maybe this ID can still introduce a lot more funkier pieces that will still fit in with Builder of Nations for those advancement token style play. That was really cool. I don't think we officially saw Jemison flushed out to something that it could potentially be. I was super excited to see that ID when it came out, and it's probably like in a vacuum, like looking at it, one of my top, like no bias given to it, but I just think that it was such a unique style of card, and those uniqueness IDs that that play like Jemison, really cool power cards like Builder of Nations could be, and an interesting mechanics built in, like with Blue Sun, like what that did to the game. I just thought that those IDs are the ones that stand out so hard for me in Wayland. And this one is just kind of like that basic, like, we're just going to do what we do, and then a deck's going to develop from Wayland pieces. So as much as I'm not undercrediting it, but I'm not as like, when I open this present on Christmas morning, I'm just like, yay. I'm not, thanks Grandma. You got me that sweater. But I'm not like super excited. Like I just got that G.I. Joe or Ninja Turtle that I really wanted.
Yeah, you're right. It's definitely swimming in the same kind of mechanical pool that Wayland's been doing for a while. But for this particular style of deck and the type of abilities that synergize with cards that are already in the game, this gives you that economic and just efficiency ability that will make those synergies with other cards shine even more. And I think that's the exciting potential that this ID offers.
Yeah, you're never going to please everybody, right? I think that, like, I think it does, like I said off the pod, it marries the two synergies that Wayland was pushing heavily. Again, the resurgence of advanceable ice and these public agendas. So it's there. Wayland players wanted this, something like this, so they got something like this.
Sorry, I wanted to just throw in here also, like, Jameson, very, very good way to. The moment you said it, I was like, that's absolutely right. Like when you talk about how they kind of like married two sort of different schools that exist in Wayland. Like, hey, here's public agendas. Did this ever work by itself? I don't know. And then it was like, hey, advanceable ice. Did this ever work in Wayland? Well, and then they were like, why don't we just do it together? Let's just like chocolate and vanilla. Yeah, like chocolate, vanilla, like ebony, ivory. Let's just combo it up, right? And let's just see what happens. And I really do like it. I think it's very, very cool. Also, I think I misunderstood the agenda or misunderstood the ID. I misread that. Let me clarify just because I know someone's going to correct me. The card says, I'm really doing it for me. The card says, place one advancement token on that piece of ice for each agenda point on all installed face-up agendas. That doesn't mean every advancement, which is how I read it at first. It said every agenda point on. So the moment that City Works projects is face-up, at the end of my turn, what?
Yeah. 3.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Asteroid Belt,
cool.
free.
Yeah.
It's free right now. It's cost me nothing. Just got a 6 strength.
It lets you play other public agendas other than Oaktown.
Yeah. No, yeah. Also, tying this into our discussion about 419, I think it's very interesting here. 419 wants to punish the Corp for having this sort of hidden info. And uniquely enough, we have a build that is probably the most revealing build, right? There's only a handful of ice. If most of my ice are advanceable, there's only a handful of those that could be. So you have a lot of focus knowledge of what I'm playing, and then all my agendas are face up, so there's no question there if it's an agenda. So it's interesting that 419 exists simultaneously as we sort of get this unique Wayland ID that feeds you, just gives you the information, but it says, hey, can you come get it? It's cool, right?
Right. Yeah. because I think that kind of rushy, throw down an agenda with a piece of ice kind of play puts the runner in that bind of what's the worst case scenario here. It could just be an ice wall, but it could also be a 3 advanced Mausolus, and in some cases that can be game ending.
Yeah.
So making that call
that your AI breaker can't
yeah, a triple advanced Tortum, ridiculous, right? So good. So yeah, playing that game, that mind game of what it could be, that's pretty good. So you're right.
First, what if it's an Oda Dawa and it's got 3 counters on it? You encounter, you give it 4, and they put 4 counters on a different piece of ice.
Oh, it's so good. I'm all about that.
And then what are you gonna tell me? You're gonna Trick of Light that off and score?
Yeah.
Or Red Planet Couriers, or mass commercialization for all the monies. Advancement tokens matter. On this ice, they're, I think, very relevant. I'll tell you a very brief story. More than once, I had been playing decks, Wayland decks, where I've been doing the Red Planet Couriers kind of attack plan, and I've had runners ask me what they could have done to deal with all of this advanceable ice, and I'm like, nothing. You'd build up this board state of just like all these things are advanced and all of my ice is phenomenal, and then I'm gonna Red Planet for the win. It's a really solid game plan, and
so you're saying there's no way to play against this?
No. No way you would include in a normal runner deck. There are cards, but not conventional ones. Until ice trashing becomes more prevalent, which then we'll touch back on this topic in a little bit. But yeah, ice trashing is definitely not ideal for this ID.
So are we basically looking at 2 styles of play? Are you looking at a rush and then a basic Wayland kill?
Yeah, and I think the kill deck is also a rush deck that happens to also have kill cards in it. So it's a little less consistent in its rushing, but it has the backup threat of the kill. So yeah, I think these are the 2 directions. Slot at least 2 biotic labors, and decide whether or not you want hard-hitting news or casting call, and slot Rashida or Illegal Arms Factory, and you got yourself a deck. Wayland approved. So yeah, I think those are the 2 directions at present is rush or rush with kill, which you'll see in the deck list that we post.
Yeah. In a very weird way, it also feels like, I'm sorry, I do like this idea. In a very weird way, it feels like it almost wants you to challenge the rush as a player. If you play the ID, I guarantee at some point, building your deck around this ID, you're gonna go, do I really need to rush? I mean, I get 3 advancements every turn. You can't get in right now. Why not just milk this? Why not keep this in play? Throw some advancements, like install a piece of ice, throw some advancements over here. Oh, you're still not running? Okay, well, here's another piece of ice, throw some advancements over here. I mean, it feels like that's something, well, obviously not optimal, you want points, but it feels like something I can easily see players doing, like saying, you know what, why not get my board set up for, getting this ice super stern, making it super cheap as necessary, because they're not challenging this piece of ice. Or challenging this piece of ice to get the agenda. So scary. Oh my god. Hey, Weeks, don't play this.
He won't. He's not a Wayland player.
No, I'll help Alec build something, but I'm
No.
Although it might be.
No, please.
Now that you don't want me to do it, I want to do it even more.
Of course.
There you go.
Of course.
Well, we still have a couple IDs to talk about this cycle. We haven't seen anything from Anarch yet. We haven't seen anything from Jinteki yet, and we haven't seen whatever neutrals could be coming. They haven't released a neutral ID in a while. This is getting ridiculous. I keep waiting.
Yeah, I'm waiting for them to officially release Shadow and just see what happens.
Could play any card. Yeah.
Guys, closing thoughts on that? I think that some interesting decks and maybe some resurgence of two factions that needed that boost. Will that new car, that new ID smell linger long, or will they burn out quick? Only time will tell. For myself, thanks a bunch for tuning in. Dave, thanks a bunch for joining us here. Not many people do know that the card David was named after you, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was not named after the character from Snow Crash.
No, you were responsible. This is the man that was responsible for David.
You're welcome.
Any closing thoughts, man, on those agendas or the agendas that we've seen this?
As far as the IDs go, the ones we talked about today, definitely 419 is going to be something to look out for. If you're practicing playing, you're gonna go play in tournaments. Definitely, either you or get some friends to play 419. You can kind of see what kind of his game plans are, because it will catch you off guard, and there are like moments where you need to sequence your turn in a certain way to make sure he doesn't get some kind of like big combo on you or something like that. So definitely practice against that. SSO, I think basically the game plan that all Whalens are going to have is go fast. So you're going to need the way to counter the go fast with ice, which is SSO, or the go fast with random DS, which is Titan. So if you're ready to handle Whaling go fast decks, you need to be ready for both of those. And I think EdTech is also going to be interesting. You need to really understand your play style and what is most important to you. If giving them 2 credits is going to let you install that liberated accounts, start getting money from that, give them the 2 credits. If maybe you can go a couple turns without it, maybe get them to switch off to something else, then do that. So it'll be really interesting to see the thought patterns that the players have going forward against these IDs in the specific matchup. The one we'll definitely see the most is a 419. It's interesting to see how people handle the other matchups with the different ones.
Yeah, good recap there. Well said. I agree. Thanks for sticking to the cue cards.
Yeah.
I really do think that all of these IDs are going to make a pretty cool splash. Maybe not the NBN one so much. I agree with David. I think it's interesting. We'll have to see. But for sure, the 419 and SSO, I think they're definitely going to be significant, like in the meta. I think we will see the meta definitely be changed quite a bit because of these IDs. So I really want to see where people take it, because I mean, I like new stuff. I like the car smell, man. I like it.
There you go.
Perfect. Alec, you had anything or no? You're good?
I think you guys nailed it. I think it's going to be fun new challenges.
More so me, right?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
More so you. The other guys, I don't know about those other guys. They said some stuff but you?
That's
yeah. I think these are fun new challenges. I think it'll be really interesting to play with and against these IDs and the cards that come with them. So I say just give them a try and see what you think.
Yeah, well said. All right, guys. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us, hanging out with us on the Wednesday nights here, your midweek break. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you back here in hopefully 7 days or 6 days. Or less than that. Who knows when you're watching this? I don't know. All right. We're out. Take care, guys.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Bye. Cheers, everybody.